welcome to this live stream. I'm Christina Gomes. I'm the host of the Sovereign Money Podcast. And today we are live streaming in two places as I am using this new software. So, for all of you creative, big hearted ones that feel like the tech and the software is too much to handle, do not worry. You can learn this stuff. But what I'm going to teach you today is the true art of client attraction as we are going to talk about storytelling versus marketing and which one you want to use in order to attract the best clients. I have the best clients. Now, having clients and having an offer and being able to travel the world, creating your own money from your gifts, presence, wisdom, and talents is exactly what I help you with. Sovereign money, we talked about that last time on the podcast and on YouTube and all the places where I am streaming now. We talked about what sovereign money is and isn't. And now we're going to get deeper into the way that I have attracted not just lots of money, but clients that come to my calls already sold on what it is that I offer. And not just because I have the perfect program. I do have a really amazing program, but because the words that I have used to invite people into those programs were they were based in storytelling. They were the kinds of words that evoke emotion and have people joining your things because they feel seen, they feel found, they feel like they matter to the process of building your business. Because you don't just build your business with money in mind. We build our businesses with sovereign money in mind because the best clients are a part of creating sovereign money. Sovereign money means money that is completely created in a way that you feel free. And if you are working with clients that don't get it, that don't get you, that don't understand what it is that they just signed up for, that don't want to work with you because they can't believe you exist, because they feel connected to you, then you're not working with the best client. They're going to resist your guidance a little bit more. They're going to, just kind of some of these kinds of clients that they signed up but not knowing you, maybe because you have the perfect program or you sat with AI and developed something that you know the market needed, which is a part of it. This is really having forethought and a great savvy business understanding. We want to create something for the market that the market actually needs. But I'm not thinking about the market as a whole. I'm also thinking about the individual clients, even in my group offerings, that I'm going to be so inspired by as they show up to the calls, asking really potent questions, getting the ahas, getting the breakthroughs, sharing their wins, asking questions that inspire me to dive into an answer that's going to move their business forward, that's going to also expand me as a leader. So that is what we're talking about today: storytelling versus marketing. Why good storytelling gets you better clients than basic marketing ever will. This topic matters so much to me because a lot of women in business have learned how to market, actually. You probably have taken that marketing course. You've probably taken those business courses that help you identify a niche, maybe even some content creation courses. Maybe you understand hooks, you understand you need to have a call to action. And hopefully by now you understand that you need to have an offer that helps people make a transformation. You need to have an offer that is very beautiful, authentically you, solves a problem in the world, but also increases their consciousness in some big or small way. So this topic matters not just because you're going to make a bunch of money with storytelling, but because if you know how to tell a story that attracts the right clients, you are going to have a business that is sustainable. And that's a piece that I focus on because I can guide somebody to just keep going and going and going. I can guide you to put everything you've got into a launch. And if you don't have a strategy, now storytelling technically is a strategy, and especially the way that I teach it, there's strategy involved, but not the kind of strategy that's going to diminish your creativity, but the kind of strategy that's going to enhance it. It's going to enhance your artistry. You're actually going to enjoy running your creative energy through the structures and strategy that I teach, because I'm not just going to tell you how to exactly what to put in your offer to make it profitable. You are an expert in your lived experience. And when you start expanding the skill of storytelling and start actually telling stories, you are also creating a sustainable business ritual that is deep inside your bones already. Storytelling is ancient. Storytelling brings us to this part of our soul where we feel like we are around the fire, feeding the fire, as my new storytelling buddy says, which hopefully I'll be interviewing him for the storytelling challenge and inviting him to share a story with us in my upcoming storytelling challenge. I'm getting ahead of myself. But recently I did sit around the fire with an Irish storyteller, and it awakened a deep remembrance in me about what life truly could be like. And we tend as business owners to get in our heads and in the computer. I mean, I just flopped the tech here and I'm like trying to stream in multiple places. And this is a worthy desire to, have a software work and be streaming into places, because it is the tool that has my stories and some of the stories that I'm going to tell today being heard, being received, being felt. And this is the process to attracting clients. Amazing. But the tools and the tech headache and all of that, it's not really what we're here for as conscious business owners. So if you know how to post already, and you certainly probably know how to educate, you know how to say, here are 3 tips to X, Y, and Z, which is great. These are authority building posts. This is what I call building authority. And many of us, especially, or many of you, I've been doing this for a decade, writing and speaking online to transform consciousness in some way and help people to see the value in my offers, but also to help people to see the value in themselves and their offers. But you probably have been sharing posts that are about the tips. You may even be explaining your offers, your sessions, your retreats online in a way that you were taught in one of these online courses. But if your content isn't bringing the quality of clients that you want, that feel like they get you, that they see you, but more importantly, that they're like, wow, how did you know? They feel gotten, they feel seen, then storytelling is really the way, because basic marketing can get attention, and attention is something that is invaluable. It's priceless in the online space, but storytelling creates intimacy, which is even more priceless. This is even, we cannot put a price on people's attention. Yes, we put price on our offering, but in order to let people know about our offering, is we need to have held their attention long enough that they feel inside of this world that you've created, and then they're ready, primed, open to hear about what is the next step with you. If we just come online and start talking about our offerings, or we just have these flyers that are like, this is my offering, we're missing that piece of connection. And storytelling creates that level of intimacy and connection that is needed when we want to attract clients that feel like soulmate clients that when you share with them your tools, your wisdom, when you're sharing presence with them, there isn't this consistent pushback I invite pushback and resistance to my clients. I'm not trying to call in robots or sheep that just blindly believe everything I say. And that's not the way I hold space anyway. In my offerings, I'm helping to extract their message. I'm helping them to say what they want to say. I'm helping to bring forward the stories that are most likely going to move their business forward and get the right kind of eyeballs on their work. But I've never lived their life. So I don't know their stories yet, but that's what we're going to be doing together in my 30-day storytelling challenge, which I'll get into later on in the session. So storytelling lets people feel you. It lets people see themselves in your work. It helps the right people to trust you, remember you, and start to picture what it would be like inside your world. And your offers are like mini worlds. They're whole universes of transformation that you've consciously created. If you don't have an offer that feels like that, not to worry. In the Conscious Creative Business School, one of my best-selling programs, the Unforgettable Offer Incubator, another program called Soul Money Mastery, both of these programs are on offer creation, plus the strategy and know-how to bring that offer, launch, as they say, out into the world in a way that has your best clients both feeling you, but also understanding the offer. So these offers are worlds, and I help you to create this offer in a way that feels like in a whole experience for your people, not just another offer that helps them get a certain result or solves a certain problem, but a whole experience that only you can deliver. So storytelling helps people to remember you, because that's just the science of storytelling, which I will talk about more in the upcoming months and weeks with you. I'm switching from simple sovereignty, which talking about sovereignty, I could talk about that forever. But when we are starting to tell the stories of sovereignty, when our sovereign expression and the way that we live in this life, our unconventional transformations, our unconventional tools, our elevated consciousness and expansion of all the beautiful things that folks like you and I have been studying and expanding into and transforming into, when we start to tell the stories of those lived experiences, this is what gets you better clients. So not just more eyeballs, not just more reach, not just more virality, better clients. Yes, we want visibility, and visibility helps us get clients. But when you have better clients, the ones who feel connected to your values, and not just feel connected to your values, already share the values that you share, and just, they come to your stories, they come to your content feeling understood. They understand your depth because that level of depth lives within them. Those are the ones who are way less likely to nickel and dime you because they already feel the power of your work before the sales call. So this session today is also for anybody who keeps getting on the phone with people who say they can't afford it. My people can't afford it. They can't afford it. No, you just haven't said anything that helps them to understand deeply why your offer and why now, and why a similar offer delivered from somebody else is just not going to cut it. They're going to be coming to your discovery calls, to your pages, to your DMs saying, I've been wanting to work with you for a while and I'm ready. I'm ready now. And that's where divine timing takes place as well. But we can move divine timing along. Like through storytelling, we become time benders and we become a part of someone else's divine timing. We're not saying that this is your divine timing. If you don't do it now, then it's never. But sometimes it's like the moment is right and our people have blocks or ideas or thoughts that are just not conducive to them joining the program, and we can hold space for those thoughts, those doubts and concerns. It's not like when you tell the perfect story, then no one will have a doubt. And I also teach in the Conscious Creative Business School how to hold space for sales calls in a really feminine, thoughtful, deep and transformative way. So I want to share a little story. Of course I do in this session, in this podcast, because This is my 100th episode of the Sovereign Money podcast, formerly known as, it's just a symbol now, formerly known as the Conscious Creative Podcast. And we are also celebrating over 10,000 downloads. Over 10,000 downloads. I took a little pause from my podcast and it was all very beautiful. And when I came to see the podcast and give it a little refresh, give it a facelift, give it a rebrand, I saw that over 10,000 people had downloaded this podcast. And it meant more to me than anything, really, because it's 10,000 people hearing not just my stories, but the stories of my clients who I've interviewed, the stories of everyday women creating extraordinary results and living extraordinary lives, and how those lives were created with doubt, with not having it all figured out, with some skills that they packaged up and put together into transformational offers, all while not knowing if these offers would be successful, but showing up with this desire, with me by their side, doing it fearful, doing it with the doubts, but also with my support, transforming those doubts into belief. And you got to believe it until you achieve it. And so I was holding and had the honor of holding some really potent visions alongside some really extraordinary women who were actually baseline everyday women, but I saw the extraordinariness in them. And I saw that their stories were not just lived experiences that they could write about in their journal, but they were stories that would move other women, other folks into their own expansion and into their desire to grow and get inside of a room that also held space for their unwinding and their deprogramming and their reprogramming and their expansions. That's what we're really doing here, creating worlds of transformation, creating homes outside of their homes where they are more understood than they ever have been understood before. So I want to celebrate that alongside you. And I want to start by saying this podcast did not begin because I wanted one more marketing channel. I wasn't like, okay, it's time to add a marketing channel into my work. It began because I desired a place where deeper stories could be told, where we could be together by the fire in these long form moments. I love long form content because I've been here speaking to you for a few moments and I don't have to rush through giving you 3 tips in a 90-second reel and play into this mind numbing, scrolling kind of energy, which I love that the internet exists so I can bring forth a message and tell the kinds of stories. But a story doesn't have to be short and crammed into 90 seconds to work. And every podcast ultimately tells a story. And what I teach my clients is that every launch is an opportunity to tell stories, tell mini stories, or tell a series of stories that create the story of their launch from beginning to end, that touches on every area of someone's heart, soul, and mind, so that they have a deeper understanding of what it's like to be in their world and what it's going to be like to be them months after that experience that you've delivered. What it's going to be like to be them after they've expanded and transformed through the power of your work. I wanted this podcast to be a place where women could come together and share the stories their families did not always understand, the stories their old coworkers could not listen to without judgment, the stories of leaving the safe path, of outgrowing old lives, of starting again, of following the sacred call, of making art, making offers, making mistakes, making love, making money, making meaning. I think part of why this podcast started is because I needed that place too. I needed a place to languish in the art form of storytelling and languish in language and really allow myself to not be rushed through the process of helping you to understand the power of my work. Now, do I love a 90-second reel? Yes. Do I love a humorous reel? Yes. Can you tell a story in 90 seconds? Yes. All of this is possible. And I'm not saying that you need to open a podcast to be able to tell your stories. I have ways and strategies, and the way that I teach launching allows you to have different kinds of touch points with your people to start to weed out the people and repel the people with story and with content, with messaging that you do not want to work with, so that you have a sustainable business model based in an ancient art form that calls people in who are resonating with who you are at the deepest parts of you. Okay. So if you actually go back to episode 1, you can listen to it while picturing me hiding in a closet, actually caring about the things that I'm telling you don't matter, caring about sound quality, caring about the tech, caring about the tools, but all to avoid, really, now that I've got this live stream on, I believe it's streaming on Facebook and Instagram, and it's a whole new software, and I am proud and excited that I got through the tech headache to be here standing in front of you through the power of electricity. All very beautiful. And what is deeper and more meaningful is what that moment meant, opening up a place where I could be seen and heard, while also seeing and hearing clients and future clients that I was going to be a small piece of their transformation. So what I love about what we get to do is I don't take on the responsibility of my client's success. They really get to put in the work, tell the stories. I can't tell their stories for them. I can't create their content for them. But to be able to say that I was a part of someone's journey, that I held space for their unraveling and showed them a path forward and help them to do it in less time, because when you have someone by your side that has made the mistakes before, then you don't have to make those mistakes alone. And whether they resist or open up fully, or at least want to hear that there is a better way, I am able to build a trusting relationship with them so that they can see a path forward when everything in their system is telling them, how could this be possible? What do you mean this is possible? What do you mean I can replace my income? And some of these women have great income. Some of these women are nurses. Some of these women come from the psychotherapy world, like I did, $60,000 years as a psychotherapist. Now I have been able to double that. And there's no ceiling on how much we can create and earn, and the impact that we can create in this form of delivering our wisdom and presence. And some of my clients have come from the corporate world. And some of my clients and people that I've interviewed on this podcast intentionally took a pay cut to deliver their soul's work. But you don't have to stay in that pay cut forever when you do understand the parts of business building that I call business rituals that get you where you need to go, but get you there in a way that doesn't feel constrictive, that doesn't feel like it's back in the corporate world, climbing the corporate ladder. We're going deeper, okay? We're not always going higher. We're not always trying to get more. We're not always stuffing our offers full of things to say, look how much value this is. It's like more is sometimes too much. And I know, many of you are like, I don't want to be too much, but don't put too much in your offer. It's about elegance. You don't have to put too much in your stories. You don't have to talk just for talking's sake. You don't have to have your your podcast episodes, or your content be long just because Christina likes long form content. We want to bring the experience. And sometimes, and most of the time, 90 seconds is not how long your sessions are going to be. It'll be an hour. So even if you're inviting people into an hour-long session, which I recommend having long form transformational offers, that guide people through the multi dimensions and the pathway that you can create alongside me in the Conscious Creative Business School. I call it your process. We call it your process. We develop a process that's all your own, that can be named and trademarked by you, and that's very beautiful. That makes you somebody that is a high value guide. This telling stories is one piece, but I'm really here to help elevate you into a high value guide, and stories are a part of that process. So over the years, I have interviewed so many of my clients who are everyday women with cool AF stories to tell, and I want you to listen to them. If you're just finding me now in the Sovereign Money podcast, this podcast, I believe, is 4 years old. Go through some of those stories. Hear those women speak about where they were and where they are now, and some of them are still going. Yes, some people grow and expand and do other things, but most of the people that I work with, they know that this is their lives mission, and in some way they are going to be guiding people, be mentors, be coaches, healers, and facilitators of change, even if they take a pause to raise children and are now facilitating change in a small being that they birthed or adopted. Like, it's all very beautiful. And even in those stories, I am still a part of that woman's expression well into the future, and you are too. You are too. So claim that you are going to be in somebody's head years after they've graduated from your course or moved on from your offerings. And some of my clients, while they stay with me for years, when we expand and grow together, like, they still also move forward and grow, and they either continue to create with me, or they create with other people, or they move forward. But I have gotten messages that are like, your voice comes in my head every time I launch a new program or I'm developing a new one. So in my school, mastermind, and mentorship, I have the frameworks, I have the lessons, I have the structure that you create when you want to repeat a win. Structure is necessary when you want to repeat success. So we don't just wing it and say, I got success. Now what? It's like, okay, we can recreate and have consistent higher than average revenue months by continuously bringing our creative energy through these structures. When you start telling the stories that move your people, you can have the perfect script and the most amazing offer, but what you really, really are creating is that feeling point in someone, that they need to bring them from, okay, this is a cool AF offer, but they need to hear that you feel them, that you get them, that you've lived through some of the things that they are living through, so that they can feel safe to bring themselves to investing thousands, not just hundreds, thousands, into signing on with you. So let's get into a bit about storytelling. So basic marketing informs. Good storytelling moves people. It moves people to cry. It moves people to tears. It moves people to buy from you. It moves people into action. It moves people on a deep cellular, internal, emotional level, but it also moves people into action. When people feel inspired, when people feel expanded, when they see what is possible, it moves them into action as well. So good storytelling helps your people to understand why you do what you do, who your offer is for, why your offer matters to them, not just to you, but to them. Why it matters to you is it does have the ability to create higher than average revenue months and consistently doing work that you love. But why it matters to them is way more important, and why they should care now. Because if you've ever had somebody come to your calls and say, okay, I'm going to wait till I have the money, they just don't understand the value of your work, and they are going to understand the value of your work through storytelling more so than the perfect AI produced marketing plan. So marketing says, here's my offer. Here's the bullet points of my offer. Storytelling says, here is the deepest desire you hold. Here is the threshold that you stand on. Here's the becoming. Here's who you're going to become and why I built this for people, women like you. So there was a season in my life where I was sharing useful content all of the time. I was sharing tips. If you go through my podcast, you're going to see so many examples of this done really, really well. And it works. I could explain what made a good offer. I could explain what good messaging was and what it wasn't. And explaining is fine. At times, we need to explain. I prefer to say we need to express the value of our offer, and expression includes storytelling. And sometimes you get to just tell it what it is, tell it like it is, and tell it what it is, and tell your people what it is. But explaining is usually tied to convincing. And a lot of the clients that come to me, they don't want to be convincing people who they don't feel inspired to work with to apply these tools in their life, or to give them money to work with them, or that energy is real. And it's like, okay, in this scenario, we're still looking at the people who don't get it, and we're just wanting to shake them and be like, just get it. And the thing and the reason why this doesn't work is because you don't actually want to work with those people. You don't actually want to work with those people. And I prefer you tell the stories of your own transformation and you see who is magnetized by those stories. So being helpful and being an authority is a part of client attraction. You can give the tips, you can explain your process, all of that, but it wasn't always, it's not always going to create that deeper feeling point, that deeper trust where someone feels like, oh, she gets me. She has lived something. I want her in my corner. So when I started telling more truthful stories, even the stories that came from my mistakes, but there's a skill here. I don't want you to be vulnerable just for vulnerable's sake. When you sign up for the 30-day storytelling challenge, you get an entire course, a program that I've created over the years where I'm going to teach you how to tell the right stories. And we're going to have 4 live sessions in the storytelling challenge where we deepen everything that you learn in the course. And one of the things that I touch on in this course is you don't have to tell your most vulnerable story. You can get there. You can build the courage to get there. But right now, we need to get you telling the stories that your best clients are going to connect to. And you don't need to like blow past your nervous system because you heard that vulnerability is the way to get clients. There's a dance, there's a threshold, and you would have me by your side to help you to move through and expand your capacity to be vulnerable, but not airing your dirty laundry, telling stories because you need to get things off of your chest. Recently, if you've been reading my content, I've been sharing a lot of deep things and vulnerable things. And I made sure to process things first with my therapist, to process things first so that I could really get to the crux of what and why I was telling these stories, not just out of reaction for the things that were happening in my life that also mirrored some of the most disgusting things and some of the most shadowy things that we are experiencing on the collective. And that mirroring was so deep and profound. And it, in telling the stories, helped me to connect and helped people to connect to a way forward. The process that I had taken myself through to not stay stuck in the story of what happened to me, but the story of transformation and the energetic practices that I was engaging with that helped seal leaks so that I never attract a situationship in a situation that is really draining my energy. And how many of you have been through that? How many of you have started to put out your offers, started to expand your business, and then got caught in the crossfire of somebody else who's at war with themselves that maybe should be your client and not your boyfriend or your friend, and it's starting to leak your energy. So creating sovereignty and me telling those stories recently through writing and through live streams I was able to connect with some really beautiful clients who also went through that. Actually, the clients that joined me weren't in the depth of experiencing toxic dynamics. They had been through it, they were on the other side of it, and now they wanted to get to the practicalities. They wanted me to help seal the energy leaks with them so they never return to that. And they elevated, and now the baseline is standards. The baseline is focused attention on their mission, because that's how you naturally create an auric field around you that, as my client calls them, fuckboys can't get into. But like situationships and situations, even with bosses and coaches, that you were like, you thought you were joining something, a coaching program, and you ended up joining a dictatorship. Like, this is not how I work in in my world. It's a co-creation, and I understand why you wouldn't want a guide like that, a dictator telling you exactly what to do. But here are some options. What is your resistance? Inviting resistance into the room while also attracting the best kinds of clients that are like, oh wow, yes, I don't have to rebel against everything Christina is saying just because I'm rebelling against authority, because I was just in a moment of someone feeling like they can control. If you've ever been in a situation where you felt like you were being controlled and you weren't sure, your intuition is probably right. And I am not here to recapitulate that dynamic. And while I am here to sometimes give it to you straight, of like, you asked me what's going to work, and I haven't seen this done before. Success leaves clues, but I haven't seen this done before. So, and this is based on some of the work that I'm doing with my clients right now. Is I have rebellious, free-spirited clients because that's who I want to work with. And I also want to guide them in a way where they don't have to put their creative energy into a launch structure that they're creating on their own. There's a method to this madness, but your stories infused inside of the strategy and method, that's that missing link. And that's what I deeply help you with. And that's what I help you with first in my 30-day storytelling challenge. So one of the stories that I shared when I was first getting started, it was more about the voice and helping people to sing. I actually had a 5-day soulful songwriting course that didn't just help you to write a song, but helped you to sing it out loud. And I would meet people in the town that I lived in and have sessions with them on creating their song, but then getting them to the open mic so that they could sing it out loud. And this was such a niche offer, and it was so fun. And those were my first offerings. I didn't start as a business coach, and any business coach that started as a business coach, maybe ask them what was their business before they started as a business, before they became a business coach. And so I've also was a yoga teacher and made most of my money traveling, teaching yoga and getting people to my retreats and my sessions and my VIP one-day experiences as a yoga teacher that infuse much more than a asana practice, but this multi-passionate range of experiences that now I still hold that skill and that desire to bring people through an experience, and I deliver that online to an international audience and as a coach and a mentor. So one of the stories that I told back then was about being 16, standing in the middle of a high school basketball court in my cheerleading uniform, ready to sing the national anthem. I had practiced 4 weeks, and then I got out there and I froze. Now, anybody knows you don't just forget the words to the national anthem. I froze. No words came out. I saw my mom shut off the camcorder. I saw the crowd, and I felt like my internal organs were outside of my body. And at 16, I made this secret contract with the universe to never share my voice again. And I lived inside of that contract for years. I didn't sing, I didn't speak in public. I was shy when that's not how I was most of my life. I was very outgoing, but I became shy. And when I started my business, I questioned every piece of content, every post, every word. Every time I went to share, that old freeze response was still there. So that's what I guided myself through. That's when I combined my yoga practices and my understanding of the parasympathetic nervous system through a yogic lens to help soothe and guide those parts of me that was really fearful around sharing my voice. So that response was still there, but not forever. Now, if I had just posted and I had just said to people, just be brave, share your voice, be consistent, that wouldn't have been useful. So I told that story. I'm telling that story to you because you can feel it. You have had that moment where you are like, okay, I know that what I'm supposed to do, but this ancient fear is arising in me when I turn the camera on. Lots of my clients feel that. And luckily I am there guiding and holding space in real time when they press post, sometimes in real time. I host office hours at the mastermind level and at the mentorship level. I'm there often in real time during my office hours to guide someone through an experience of nervous system dysregulation, because business, no one ever promised you that business was going to be easy. And once you started, when you were going to be regulated. Okay. So but the deeper thing I want you to catch here is people's response changed to my offerings when I stopped trying to get them to be consistent and I started sharing stories about when I stopped being consistent and why consistency isn't the answer. It's not just about being consistent. There's something deeper happening that when you have me by your side, you can start to unravel and discover yourself and discover those deeper parts of yourself that have prevented you from doing the thing that you know you're supposed to do this whole time. And when people just say, oh, just be consistent, just go for it, kid, it's not so helpful. So even though I didn't have everything figured out back then when I started my business and was sharing about yoga and wanting people to come to my sessions and classes, I listened to the few people who said that my sessions and classes and my words inspired them, and I kept going also. I kept singing, I kept writing, I kept sharing my truth. I wrote a book, I created an album, and I did all these things for me to keep uncovering my voice. And the right people felt that and felt connected with me and wanted to work with me because they could work with anybody teaching people how to. There's so many people that teach you how to create an offer. There's so many people that teach you how to create content, but my people are aligned with me and your people are aligned with you. There's so many people that do nervous system regulation and trauma work. There's so many people that help people move through heartbreak. There's so many people that guide people to their spiritual awakening and guide people after they've spiritually awakened and now what, which is the subtitle to one of my clients long ago's offer. That she didn't just help them to spiritually awaken, she helped to guide them after their awakening, because that's a gap in the marketplace. So it's like these strategies and these understandings of marketing don't just get thrown out, but we weave storytelling into our delivery of our quote unquote marketing, and we weave an ancient practice into how we are showing up, not just for our clients, but also for us to feel that we have a sustainable practice that's rooted in something deeper than marketing and advertising, rooted in real human connection. And that helps us to sustain these practices, these rituals, these business rituals, and want to keep going when life gets hard, because we can always turn those life experiences into stories that help other people not to feel alone. And scientifically, this does things to the brain that we'll talk about inside the storytelling challenge. And now I want to talk about the storytelling challenge. I have about 5 minutes before I am meeting somebody to come see my apartment, because I'm about to embark on another journey, creating homes away from home and my clients and my content is going to come with me. But I do this so that I can fully live life and create better stories. And for me as a triple Sagittarius, the stories live through my expression and me meeting life and not staying stuck in one place for too long. Yes, I will return. I love home. I love my routine, but this is going to give me the opportunity to create, bring my rituals, my business rituals out into the world and start to experience life and have better stories to tell. So many of you may think like, oh, I can't travel and bring my work with me. When you work with me, you learn exactly how to do that. And I am going to show you rather than tell you, and most likely be delivering my 30-day storytelling challenge, partly in my home where I live in Lake Atitlan in Central America, and then partly on the road. So you get to experience that. And as I create stories, stay tuned to this podcast because I'm sure I will be telling them. Oh my gosh, the stories that we create on the travel road you can write an entire book on. And in fact, I did. The Monk, the Mushrooms, and the Toad is my memoir. And it's one woman's ennoble quest. That one woman is me, Christina Gomes. And that it's one woman's ennoble quest to discover who or what is God. And I just did it in a funny way of sucking, snorting, and swallowing everything I could find to connect with God and connect with the higher meaning, ultimately to understand the deepest expression of the divinity within. And so I hope I didn't ruin the ending for you, but I'm sure that you could have spotted that one coming. And it is a collection of stories that happened on the road and the people I met and the medicine I communed with that helped to open different levels of consciousness. And then you're going to see me, you're going to read these stories and be involved in these stories. And so I'll tell some of them inside the storytelling challenge and in this podcast and in my upcoming content. So stay tuned. And I want to not only tell these stories, but I want to teach you how to tell the kinds of stories that are going to attract those better clients that I've been talking about to you. So if you want to learn how to tell the kinds of stories that have people coming to your discovery calls and your DMs going, how did you know? That also happened to me. I feel like we're kindred spirits. I got to get on your radar. Like, how do I get into your program? What kind of work you do? If you want to tell the kind of stories that don't just feel like marketing, but feel like a body of work that people can engage with and feel seen and heard inside of, then I want you to join my 30-day storytelling challenge. We start on March 23rd. You don't just get content prompts, but you get an entire vortex of experience. So you get daily support, you get a community where you can practice telling stories. And as you tell your stories on your own platforms, you're also going to get the opportunity to win a 90-day storytelling, but also strategy session with me, how to weave these stories into a strategy that can sustain results for you over time. So you'll always know how to attract clients. It won't be one story, one client, but it'll be a way of being that allows you to maintain the success that you create through storytelling. And the clients that you can attract clients far into the future. You'll always know how to fill a program and fill an offer, fill a retreat, all of that. In the storytelling challenge, we are also going to meet weekly live starting on the 25th. And you'll get the replays. You also get an online learning portal where all of the replays from my past storytelling challenges live. So you'll have lifetime access to that portal where you can commune with the skills if you didn't learn it the first time, because it's not like we learn something and then we know exactly how to apply it in our life. What gets repeated gets remembered, and you get to go through these lessons. And I have lessons on marketing and social media marketing one-on-one inside of the Sovereign Storytelling program. And so you get all that plus my eyes on your message for an entire month. Now, there are two ways to join the storytelling challenge. You can join the storytelling challenge as is. There are two different price points You can get in today, because when you get in today, you get immediate access to the portal. So you can start going through some of the lessons that I have filmed in there. And then we start on the 23rd with the daily prompts that are going to help you to tell a story. Plus, there's ones you can choose from if the prompts aren't really igniting anything in you. But these prompts are not journaling prompts. These prompts are going to extract the kind of story that's going to get you clients, not just any old story, but the exact story that's going to help your best clients feel seen and heard. So you get immediate access to that. And so that's the first way to join. You could get started today for $33. Or the better plan would be to join my school, which is called the Conscious Creative Business School. I also have a mastermind and a mentorship. But if you join at the school level, you get access to a vault of programs that I've created on marketing, messaging, sales, offer design to equip you with everything you could possibly need to become a well-paid, internationally recognized guide that has an offer that transforms people's lives and the wisdom and know-how to fill that offer consistently over time, well into the future. So at the school level, you also get a monthly meetup with me. So it's not completely DIY and it's not completely by your side. So if you're looking for a deep and intimate experience, I do have my application open right now for mentorship or mastermind. But I first want you to check out that storytelling challenge, because no matter what level you join at, my mastermind clients and my mentorship clients are going to be going through this storytelling challenge with me and my school students, and we're all going to be doing it together. So if you join at the school level, you also get this vault of everything I've ever created, plus a monthly meetup. But if you join now during the challenge, this is a whole program, a whole experience with weekly live calls. So if you have been thinking about joining the school, now is the time, because the first month is going to be half off. So you can join, you can get started today at $44, so you could get started today at $33. And I know that you're thinking, holy crap, how is this so affordable? And accessible? Like, am I really going to get the value? Look at the links and see how much you actually get inside the school. And this is my gift to you. This is my gift to you, to be able to access a wealth of knowledge at an accessible level. And why I'm doing this is because I truly know that the missing link is deep and intimate support, especially if that's the level that you give. But I want to give you the knowledge so that you can make the money, so you can feel like you have the information to be able to do this. And then if you want to join me in my higher level programs, I know that's most likely the missing link for you. And there are so many people that have already joined high level programs. You already got deep and intimate coaching, and that's fine too. If you just want to get in there and get the strategy, there are plenty of DIY girlies out there where this is where you want to bring your attention and energy. And anytime you want to upgrade, that's cool too. But this storytelling challenge, man, oh man, even if you just join the challenge and you spend 30 days with me and other like-hearted creatures doing the dang thing, you are going to expand in ways that we can't even predict in this moment now. But I know that you're going to leave with the skills to tell the kinds of stories that attract better clients and know how to do that consistently. So if that sounds like something that you want to do, I am here for you, and I will see you in the next podcast episode, Sovereign Money Podcast. This has been such a lovely time together. Thank you so